The internet has spawned many pseudo-philosophical microdoctrines over the last few years, but none of them have been quite as insightful and honestly amusing as what people have started calling bean soup theory. For the uninitiated, bean soup theory is this idea that originated on TikTok. After someone posted a recipe for bean soup and was then inundated with angry comments from people whining that they don't like beans, or that they're allergic to them, or that beans make them fart, or whatever other weirdly specific, completely irrelevant personal detail. Common sense should tell you that if you don't like beans, or you can't eat them for whatever reason, then that recipe isn't meant for you, and you should just scroll past and ignore it. But it's 2025, baby, and everything is about you. If you haven't caught on yet, this has nothing to do with bean soup. It has to do with this growing phenomenon of what I've started referring to as narcissistic individualism, of people being seemingly unable to accept that not everything is about them or for them. Bean soup theory alleges that everything, even something as harmless and wholesome as a bean soup recipe, now has the ability to cause outrage amongst a growing population of egomaniacs who are determined to insert themselves into everything and to make everything about them, and to take offense and feel victimized by anything that isn't. And not only do I think this theory has merit, but I think that this extremely narrow-minded, self-obsessed way of viewing the world is just a microcosm of larger social dynamics, and it has much broader implications for society than these snarky TikTok videos may lead you to believe. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about how we got here, why this is happening, and what it could mean for the future of the world. Growing up in school, we were always taught that we're all unique and special. And I don't mean that in a condescending way at all, I swear.
I'm special!
This lesson was imparted on us as children for three main reasons. Number one, to help us find our passions and our strengths so that we could double down on them. Number two, to stop us from feeling insecure about our weaknesses and quirks. And most importantly, number three, to encourage us all to treat each other with respect, even if we have differences. All fair enough, right? But over the last few decades, things have gone a little off the rails, to say the least. And this should come as no surprise, but the almighty algorithm is undeniably one of the culprits. Before social media, we lived in a world that not only had far fewer options when it came to things like information and entertainment, but where the content we consumed was not chosen specifically for us. Cable TV, movie theaters, magazines, newspapers, radio, all of these things were known as what's called a broadcast medium. You could obviously flip between a handful of channels or pick from a few different newspapers or whatever, but mostly what you saw was what you got, because that's all there was. There was no customization. So with that, you learned pretty quickly what you liked and didn't like, or more so, what was for you and what wasn't. And it was all good. But as we entered the early 2000s, everything started to go digital. And more specifically, around 2010, digital platforms introduced the feed model. As we all know now, digital feeds use algorithms to build personal profiles on all of us and then determine who we are and what we like and dislike so that they can tailor our feeds to our preferences. It sounds creepy, because it is, but now when you log on to any social media or streaming platform, you're most likely going to see a selection of content that is specifically relevant to you and your interests. Like when I go onto my YouTube homepage, I generally see pop punk music, vegan recipes, progressive politics, business and entrepreneur stuff, and cute animal videos. And yeah, that's basically my personality. It's pretty bang on. But the problem is that the normalization of everything being customized to your interests almost rewires your brain, or at least it changes the way you react to things that happen to fall outside of that bubble. For example, if I logged onto YouTube tomorrow and my feed was full of like hunting videos or Andrew Tate content or frickin' Katy Perry music or whatever other horrible thing, I know that I would instinctively react with disgust. Like, I don't want to see that shit, and I don't expect to. But that's kind of the point. Because of algorithms, we've been subconsciously conditioned to think, if this isn't relevant to me, it's wrong, and I shouldn't be seeing it. And that visceral reaction tends to carry over into everything we do. And let's not forget that algorithms are designed to invoke an emotional response by any means necessary. And the emotion that tends to get the most engagement, unfortunately, is anger. But even that's really just scratching the surface. As I was writing this video, I was thinking a lot about life before social media and how much simpler everything seemed. I'm sure that there's a degree to which this nostalgia is kind of just a product of getting older, but life seems to be moving a lot quicker nowadays, and it really made me think about how important it is to slow down and be present. Especially after Levi got sick last month. He's doing a lot better now, but it really just gave me a new appreciation for what I have and the time that I have left with him. And it also made me think about the other parts of my life that I may have been taking for granted. When it feels like life's moving too fast, therapy can be an invaluable tool for learning how to stay grounded and be more present in your day-to-day life. And I think that's something that's more important now than ever. Today's sponsor, BetterHelp, is on a mission to make starting therapy easier. All you have to do is answer a quick questionnaire, and within a few days, BetterHelp will match you with a licensed therapist who's trained to listen and offer helpful, unbiased feedback. Best of all is that BetterHelp accepts both HSA and FSA cards, making it easier than ever to prioritize your mental health. In 2024 alone, more than 137,000 people use their HSA and FSA benefits through BetterHelp. So make sure you use yours before they expire. Head over to betterhelp.com/accordingtonicole or click the link in the description to get started with 10% off your first month. In order to keep this video light and fluffy, let's talk about something that's never controversial or emotional. Politics. We're living in what is probably the most highly politicized time in history, or certainly at least in our lifetime. Never before has there been such a stark divide between the left and the right, and much of that is due to identity politics. Traditionally, identity politics revolved around basic traits like race, religion, gender, sexuality, or socioeconomic class. But now, literally everything from hobbies to fashion to diets to wellness and healthcare, even the car you drive, has been turned into a signifier used to associate you with a certain political movement. And honestly, a lot of the time it's accurate. Don't believe me? If you saw someone wearing camo and driving a Cybertruck, who would you assume they voted for? What if you saw someone with blue hair and rainbow-painted nails? What would you guess about their political beliefs based on that? What about someone who's vegan and listens to punk? Who do you think that person would vote for? All of these things are completely irrelevant to politics on the surface. Like, who really cares what car someone drives or what color their hair is? But they've all turned into political dog whistles, used to group certain people together and turn us all against one another. Think about it. There's pro-vaccine versus anti-vaccine. There's vegan versus carnivore diet, hybrid versus pickup truck, pro-choice versus forced birth, girl boss versus trad wife, body positivity versus gym rat, pro-gun versus anti-gun. The list could probably go on forever. The problem is that somehow the distinction between preferences and rights got all twisted up, with some people believing that they have the authority to impose their personal preferences onto other people's rights, and that people who don't abide by their preferences are somehow impeding on their rights. And of course, the COVID pandemic only made this 100 times worse. But the point is that now, when someone simply expresses an opinion or a preference for something, it's automatically interpreted as some sort of ideological declaration, which it may or may not actually be. But that means that simply saying, "I like X," will cause an entire group of people to jump to, "Well, then you must hate Y," and to make assumptions about your political beliefs and label you as an enemy and feel personally attacked. That's why something as simple as a bean soup recipe can now be perceived as a moral stance, where people try to read between the lines that probably don't even actually exist, and to make themselves or their lifestyle or their beliefs or their preferences front and center. How dare you suggest that I should make a vegetarian soup? How dare you suggest that everyone likes beans and can eat them? How dare you suggest that I even have the time to cook from scratch? You don't know me. And with luck, we never will know you. Jesus. Ricky Gervais has a really good stand-up bit about this, about someone being enraged by a sign advertising guitar lessons because they don't want guitar lessons.
That's like going into a town square, seeing a big notice board, and there's a notice, guitar lessons, and you go, "But I don't fucking want guitar lessons."
It's funny, but it's also really true. As someone who makes content on the internet, I experience this firsthand on pretty much a daily basis. And at this point, I mostly just find it funny, but it does still make me scratch my head from time to time, because I frequently get comments from people who are outraged that I don't share their political beliefs or their lifestyle habits. Simply mentioning that I don't want kids, or that I'm vegan, or even just that I really like the color gray, will cause a whole bunch of people to get their panties in a bunch and tell me why I'm wrong, or start defending their opposing preferences in the comments. Watch people start doing that right now. Like, not only does no one care, but there is no world that exists in which an internet comment from a stranger is going to make me want kids, or start eating animals, or suddenly fall in love with the color pink. They're never even really well thought out or insightful comments, just indignant and dumb. Even more so, I get comments from people complaining that I swear too much, or that I've said certain things that they find offensive, and that because of that, they won't watch my videos, or can't show them to their kids or whatever, and then telling me that I should censor myself to their sensitivities. Like, bruh, if my videos offend you, then they're not for you. Don't watch them. If me saying Jesus fucking Christ causes you to gasp and clutch your pearls, then you aren't my target audience. I don't care that you won't show this to your kids. I don't make videos for kids. The world doesn't revolve around you, and I'm sure there are thousands of other YouTube channels that are more your style, so go find one. But even beyond curated social media feeds and political stupidity, perhaps the biggest issue here is the erosion of social consequences. Behavior that would otherwise be seen as unhinged and embarrassing in real life, because it is now perfectly acceptable and even encouraged online. To go back to the bean soup example, if in real life someone offered to share a recipe with you, there would only be two acceptable responses. Either, sure, thanks, I'd love that, or no thank you, I'm good. But if you started screaming, I'm allergic to beans, how dare you, just because you like beans doesn't mean everyone does, you'd look like a psycho. There would be social consequences to that reaction. You'd be judged and ridiculed and ostracized, and for good reason. But online, inappropriate and over-the-top reactions get reinforced. Like, if you leave an angry comment about something, you're basically guaranteed to have a bunch of other people pile onto your insane comment to agree with you and back you up. Humans are tribal animals, and we crave connection by any means necessary. And in today's world, with everyone so chronically online and disconnected from reality, even unfounded outrage has somehow become a bonding opportunity. An opportunity to feel seen and heard, which is really all that anyone wants, but there's a time and place. Now, if you're anything like me, you might find this whole thing to be pretty damn funny. The saying, go touch grass, comes to mind. I just think that life is better when you don't have a stick up your ass about everything, but maybe that's just me. But despite how much joy I get watching people on the internet crash out about every little inconsequential thing, the fact is that this issue is getting worse, and it does have serious implications for the world. For one thing, it will inevitably lead to the end of public discourse, and I'd argue that this is already in progress. When people feel personally attacked by everything, the ability to have civil conversations and to debate in good faith disappears. Factual discussions get drowned out by emotional outbursts and virtue signaling, and we lose the ability to understand nuance. In the long term, this drives hyperregulation, where everyone and everything feels the need to start censoring themselves to an extreme degree. I'm talking media outlets, institutions, brands, people, everything. And when that happens, everything becomes homogenized and bland. There's no room for self-expression or creativity or artisticness or innovation of any sort because it becomes too risky to piss someone off. And to be clear, I am in no way trying to excuse or defend the discrimination or persecution of any marginalized group. Quite the opposite. I'm suggesting that being a picky eater, or being a music or movie snob, or being religious, or whatever other thing that you've chosen to immerse yourself in of your own free will, does not make you a member of a marginalized group, and does not mean you're being oppressed when someone says or does something that doesn't cater specifically to you. And in fact, by pretending it does, you're actively harming the groups who truly do experience oppression in the form of things like racism or sexism or homophobia. But even worse than everything becoming overly safe and beige, this way of thinking leads to what is, in my opinion, one of the most detrimental things to both personal growth and social progress, and that's echo chambers. When every little thing becomes a part of your identity and a means to separate yourself from the masses, naturally you begin seeking out other people who feel the same way you do. Like I said, we're tribal animals. But clustering out into groups made up exclusively of people who see the world from your perspective breeds legitimate intolerance and hatred towards others. It limits your understanding of the world, and it's actually how cults are formed. In a cult, any form of disagreement or even neutrality is seen as betrayal. This means that people are either forced to conform to things they don't believe in or face massive conflict. And we're already seeing this with the MAGA movement, where a large population of people who call themselves Christians or who otherwise consider themselves to be good moral people have somehow found a way to justify voting a pedophile into the Oval Office. Not once, but twice. At their core, I believe that a lot of these people probably do take major issue with a lot of the president's behavior, but articulating that would get them ousted from their small-minded communities, so they just go along with the groupthink. And that need to conform to things you don't actually believe in out of fear of being abandoned by your community is by definition a cult. And that's the end game of an echo chamber. And all of this leads to something that we're already seeing on full display, which is a massive mental health crisis. When you live your life in a bubble, always believing that everything is about you or for you and becoming enraged or offended when it's not, honestly, it sounds like an exhausting way to live. But truly, it triggers stress and anxiety and burnout. You subconsciously walk around feeling like you could be attacked at any moment. You're constantly on edge and looking for something to be mad about. And most worryingly, you never learn to handle disappointment or discomfort in a healthy way, which causes depression and anxiety and low self-esteem. This is something that I've witnessed firsthand over the last decade or so of running a small business and working closely with people in their homes. Anecdotal? Sure. But I've constantly seen shocking levels of absolutely crippling anxiety in mainly two groups of people: young people and people who've grown up wealthy and always had money. What these two groups have in common is that they're both used to being constantly catered to. They're used to being able to use either technology or money to immediately solve any little problem that might pop up. But on the odd occasion that something happens that can't be solved with an app or a credit card, they completely melt down. They're extremely fragile and incompetent. They lack the emotional resilience to handle whatever life might throw at them. They expect the world to stop and for everyone to just run to their rescue at the slightest inconvenience. And when that doesn't happen, they come unglued. And it's not normal, but it's becoming all too common as people of all types walk around believing that they're the main character. You're not. At the end of the day, society needs collaboration in order to progress, but collaboration requires open-mindedness and nuance, and the ability to know your own place in the world. It requires self-awareness and maturity to understand and accept that not everything is going to be about you or for you, and that's okay. Social media and the internet overall may be well adapted at making you feel special and seen, but the real power of it is the vast variety and opportunity it offers for all of us to find the spaces where we actually do fit in. So the next time that you see something online, or even in real life for that matter, that doesn't seem like it's for you, that's probably because it's not meant to be. And that's okay. Or hey, maybe I'm an idiot, and maybe this entire video has been deeply offensive to you and you want to aggressively tell me so in the comments. Go ahead, you do you. If you like this video, like the video, subscribe for more. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at according_to_Nicole. I'll see you guys next week.